Well, good evening, everybody. So precious of you all to join me in my favorite place tonight, the graveyard. And what a beautiful graveyard indeed! Voice Beast, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Bunny Cult. You are all very lucky to be witnessing the very first of a new event that I am calling Spectral Lapin Theater. I am your host, Her Queenship, Lilith, the Spectral Lap Bunny, and you all are my victims tonight. So get cozy, grab a hot beverage and a blanket, because tonight may be your last comfortable night for a very long time. I swear to God, that piano beat was not planned, but what great timing. For our premiere show, I will be reading you all 3 terrifying tales written by the king of horror himself, the one and only Edgar Allan Poe. Our stories tonight: first, The Cask of Amontillado, a tale of revenge. The second, The Mask of the Red Death, a cautionary tale of having too much pride and wealth while those around you all suffer. And finally, for our final tale tonight, a favorite of many, including myself, The Telltale Heart, a tale of madness and how it drove a man to murder. I hope you all survive. But first, why don't we all have a little chat, shall we? I will pause the spooky music for now, and I will put on the regular music while we all have a little talk before we get into the stories. Hello! Hello, everybody! Did you like that? I wrote that just earlier today. Seemed like everybody got some enjoyment out of it. That was really fun. It was fun to, get the creative juices a-flowing. But I am Her Queenship, Lilith, the Spectral Lot Bunny, coming at you today, ready to read some horrifying stories. I hope you are all just as excited as I am. Let me say hello to all of my victims tonight. Hello, Dr. Karate. Hello, Kif Chatterley. Hello, Fluffy Snowfall. Hello, Buckaroo Holiday. And thank you so much, Buckaroo Holiday, for resubbing the Tier 1 for 9 months. Thank you, much appreciated. I really appreciate the support and your sacrificial offering. Hello, Craig's Critique. Hello, Voice Beast. You are adorable. I just want to give head pats. You are free to give all the head pats you want tonight, because they might be the last head pats that you will ever give in your life. But thank you so much for joining the Bunny Cult. I sure hope you enjoy your stay. Hello, Perpetual Panda. Hello, Jacob. Hello, Heavy. Hello, Lumi. Oh, I'm so excited to see you all tonight. I promise nobody's actually going to die tonight. You are all going to be fine. I think. You should be. But I'm so excited. This is gonna be a really fun time. Does everybody like Poe? Anybody familiar with any of these stories? I'm quite excited to read them all to you guys tonight. But yes, how is everybody doing on this creepy Friday evening or day or time zone, wherever you are in the world? Spooky Bun with a spooky hat. Yeah, do you guys like my hat? This was another Halloween asset that I found. This is a hat asset, and the creator who made this is named Tammy. At least on their Twitter, that was their name that I saw. It was spelled T-A-M-I-E. So if you would like one of these yourself, go get one from Tammy and then give them your love as well. The book asset that I have here was made by a user named Garu on Twitter. That is G-A-R-O-U. So I want to thank these wonderful creators tonight for providing some wonderful creepy assets for me. I mean, I know they're provided to everybody. They're fun, free assets, but I'm so happy that I get to use them. The rest of these assets, the background, the pumpkins, all the music and that's all royalty-free stuff. I just, found a few things online. But I wanted to get the mood right. I wanted to set us up in a place that feels appropriate for these stories tonight. Can I grab a cold beverage instead? Yes, you may enjoy whatever you like on this terrifying night. Whatever helps to keep you feel more safe in your own home. A cold beverage is perfectly acceptable, especially on a very humid evening like this one. I'm not gonna say it's hot, but it's a little bit sticky, a little bit soupy. So I hope everybody is comfortable tonight regardless. Oh la la, Théâtre des Lupins! Oui, oui, oui! Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, lapin means rabbit in French. I wanted to come up with like a fun title, and I don't know, I wanted to incorporate rabbits in there, but I thought it gave it a fancier feel if I included a French word in there. So oui, oui, oui. Spectral lapin théâtre. Maybe if I wanted to keep it within the French European theme, I should have spelled theater, the R and the E reversed. Oh well, maybe next time. The Mask of the Red Death. I played the Red Death in a play based on that when I was a kid. No spoilers! But that is a sweet role to play indeed, and you guys will all find out why tonight. You like the spooky music? Don't worry, I'll put it back on. I wanna, for now, while it's a little more lighthearted in the room, I'll have this. And then once I start the stories, we're gonna put on the creepy music again. So what I plan to do while reading these stories is I'm gonna go through each one uninterrupted. Unless, if I get something like a raid or maybe like a follow or something like that, I will point it out. But anything other than that, I want it to keep you guys immersed. I'm gonna do it uninterrupted, and then after each story, we're gonna have a little discussion. So that way we can keep things interactive and you guys can give your input on what you think of each story, what you like about each story, maybe what you don't like about any of the stories, whatever you feel like. So we'll have a little mini discussion after each one, and then I will get through the 3 of these in a timely fashion. None of them are very long, they're all pretty short. So they'll all hopefully be enjoyable to you all. I did most of my literature papers in college on Poe because I kept getting the option. He's a very fascinating guy, that Mr. Poe. I actually have his Wikipedia page pulled up. I thought we could read a little bit of it in a little bit. Oh, and thank you so much for the head pat and hydrate redeems, Fluffy. Sorry, I'm feeling a little shaky right now because I was trying to set everything up beforehand. I was trying to figure out how to get chat to not be covered up by anything, and then Streamlabs was acting up and it wouldn't let me move the chat box, so that was why I was a minute late to stream, but that's okay. Everything is fixed now, and I will hydrate to make myself relax. I'm very eepy. Edgar Allan Poe makes for good bedtime stories, right? I'm sure I'll sleep like a baby and not have any nightmares whatsoever. Oh yeah, no, this is the perfect bedtime story for you to read to any young children, maybe your pets, your grandmother, whoever may be, and it will help them get the soundest sleep of their life, especially our last tale for tonight, The Telltale Heart. I wanted to save that one for last because I know that one is a big favorite among a lot of people, and I would say in terms of creepiness, I think that one has the highest creep factor. Kitty go Monshaw hat. Yeah, this kitty is munching. This cat was following me around. It's actually, this cat is Pepper, but Pepper decided to roll around in some black mold and some mud earlier. So that's why his appearance looks a little different than usual right now. He decided he wanted to cosplay as a black cat today, which, I mean, I find pretty filling. So I'm just gonna give this to him, and when we get home, I'll give him a bath and it'll all be okay. And when I say home, I mean like a little hole underneath the graveyard. 1 minute late to stream, you better have a doctor's note. I'm sorry, my doctor's note was I was trying to make stream look pretty. I was setting all these things up last minute because I set most of this up yesterday, but then I was looking at it and I'm like, it needs a little extra something. Pumpkins! So I wanted to add the pumpkins as well. Pepper rolled around in pepper. Damn, Fluffy beat me to it. All of my mods are becoming a hive mind. But yeah, no, Pepper, he rolled around in a little bit of black pepper tonight. And well, I mean, at least he smells good. He smells really good. I like the smell of black pepper, even though it makes me Achoo! Excuse me. I'm glad you guys like the costume. I was looking at it a little earlier and I was like, do I look too much like a like a Hogwarts student? But no, I'm digging it. I like the look today. So, to read a little bit, to give you guys a little bit of background knowledge on Edgar Allan Poe, if any of you guys are not quite as familiar with his work, just pull up his Wikipedia page. Edgar Allan Poe was born in January 19th, 1809 to October 7th, 1849, which was actually one of the reasons why I decided to read some of his stories today, because of that pretty much makes all of Edgar Allan Poe's stories 100 years old. And I believe that when something is over 100, like when a piece of media or like a story is over 100, it becomes public domain, meaning anybody can read it without the risk of getting any sort of copyright issues. And I mean, also Poe just has some pretty amazing stories that are all quite horrifying. So I love his work. So that's the bigger reason why I wanted to read his work today. But you know, the royalty-free stuff, it certainly doesn't hurt now, does it? But let me keep on reading. So Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, poet, author, editor, and literary critic who is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the macabre. He is widely regarded as a central figure of Romanticism and Gothic fiction in the United States and of American literature. Poe was one of the country's earliest practitioners of the short story and is considered the inventor of the detective fiction genre, as well as a significant contributor to the emerging genre of science fiction. He is the first well-known American writer to earn a living through writing alone, resulting in a financially difficult life and career. Huh! Sounds very relatable, now doesn't it? Trying to make it as an artist and always having some financial troubles. Being only able to just make your rent for the month and nothing else. That's the real horror of life, am I right, chat? But yeah, he's such a fascinating individual. So, not only is he kind of one of the fathers of horror literature, but he is also a pioneer, when it comes to science fiction and detective literature as well. So he's really inspired all sorts of genres in fiction and in Gothic literature and just all of the things that I think a lot of us enjoy today. I think we have Poe to thank for a lot of things that we enjoy on this day. A lot of things like, not even horror literature, but I think horror movies, horror television shows, horror video games, even music as well. I think when you look at the Gothic style, emo, you kind of see a lot of the same things that you would see in Poe's fashion, in his writing style, in the way that he lived. I bet his home was certainly decked out in a lot of Gothic architecture. So you would see like in bands like My Chemical Romance or other emo bands where they wear a lot of makeup, they wear very dark clothing, and a lot of their lyrical material is quite, you know, on the darker side. I think a lot of that we have to really thank Edgar Allan Poe. Isn't it so incredible how like one individual can just be like the domino for just like so many things in the world that you love and that fascinate you? I think it's pretty incredible. I'm obsessed with artists, and I mean, I know a lot of people are, that's kind of a silly thing to say, but like, I'm especially, I don't know, I find myself very drawn to, I guess, tortured souls, for lack of a better term. Not like in a like a, oh, I can fix him sort of way, but in like a, you know, I find them very interesting people. I'm fascinated by the ways that they take their pain and they translate it into something beautiful, something artistic, and probably something quite therapeutic as well, if I'm being honest. Sorry, I'm realizing I sound a little more formal than I do in other streams. I just like, I guess I didn't realize until I turned this on how truly excited I was for this stream, because it's like, yeah, I love video games, I love anime, but like, I've always been so in love with like movies and literature and art just in general that it's like, I don't know, this is the stuff that gets me, it gets my gears turning. It's my tick. What makes me tick, I mean. it's just I enjoy it so much, and I'm really excited to be able to share my love of these works with you guys. I really hope that I'm able to do them justice. I mean, I think I should. I'm a fucking audiobook narrator for a living, so hopefully I can have that translate into these. It's like, you know, I've been talking a lot about figuring out what makes me unique, what can make me stand out, and I'm just like, what you do. What you do can be that. So if you guys enjoy this stream, please let me know. Please give me any positive feedback you might have, or any kind of feedback, or just like if you liked it, and I'll hopefully be able to do a lot more of these in the future. We can read more horror stories, or we can read more of really whatever you guys like. Within reason, of course. We want to make sure that I'm allowed to be reading these stories. Poe had good dark but spiffy looking clothing. He sure did. Actually, why don't we let's look up a few images of Mr. Poe so I can show you all truly what this man looked like, what his fashion looked like. Very interesting looking guy, that's for sure. This is Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with his visage, with his appearance. He's just a very tortured looking gentleman with an iconic mustache, always having a bird on his shoulder in his drawings. Quote the raven nevermore. Maybe we'll read the raven another time. But yeah, this is what the man looked like. There's a lot of very interesting depictions and caricatures of him as well. At least this is what I can assume the man looked like. I'm not sure how many actual photos there are of him. It looks to be mostly images. I want to see, can you look up what his house looks like actually? Oh, this was his house. The Poe house. The Edgar Allan Poe National Historic Site. Can you visit the Poe house? Are you allowed to go inside?
If Edgar got a career in law enforcement, would he be a Poe?
Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. You're going immediately to jail for that one. But it's okay because you were just able to make bail with the 100 biddies. So thank you so much for the 100 biddies, Fluffy Snowfall. And yeah, very good joke, haha. Also, I love that emote of the zombie. That's so cool. Quote the raven, eat my shorts. I actually think, funny story, I think one of the first places I had heard a Poe story was on that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. They once did a Treehouse of Horror segment where Lisa was reading Bart, I think, a bunch of stories in their treehouse. I'm not sure if they were all Poe stories or not, but I remember she read him The Raven. And of course, it was like all Simpsonified. And Homer was the main character, and I think Bart was the crow, just running around pestering him. So I think that was where I first heard one of Poe's stories. And then I remember reading some with my mom, too, when I was maybe like in middle school. But it wasn't until like I really got more into horror that I became more fascinated by like his work and the work of other horror authors. But you know, he's Edgar Allan Poe. Pretty much everybody knows him, so I figured we would all enjoy a few of his tales tonight. Beautiful house. I wasn't expecting it to look so normal, I guess? I think maybe I was expecting a giant gothic mansion, but you know, if Poe was a struggling artist, then I doubt he would be able to live in a giant mansion, right? But yeah, so how else is everybody doing tonight? Do we all have some exciting, creepy plans for the weekend? Anybody getting into any haunted houses? Anybody taking any little graveyard walks? Is there anybody else around who has graveyards that do like tours? I had a graveyard near me growing up that held like little tours at night, and they would do all sorts of interesting tours around Halloween time, like a regular regular graveyard tour. And they also had one that was like a murder tour. So there was a tour guide that was able to teach you everything about all the people that have died. I mean, it's a cemetery. Everybody dies. Everybody there is dead. But I mean, all people there who have died by murder, or people who are murderers themselves who are buried there. It sounds very cool. I've never been able to do the murder tour, but I've done the regular one. And they took us into a crypt, and I found it deliciously delightful. It was a wonderful time. Lilith was expecting the Addams Family house. I was expecting like fucking Hill House. I finished Haunting of Hill House last night, and I was like, I don't know, when I think like tortured souls, creepy stories, I expect a house like that. Hill House was fascinating because there's like a video that points out every ghost that's in the background there, and I thought that was really cool. There were so many that I missed. They're just like, they're such quiet little scares. Considering his finances, it was also probably an inherited family home. Most likely, it was probably passed down to him from his parents. I think I actually read that his father abandoned him when he was quite young. Let me see if that's what was on this too. Yeah, father abandoned the family in 1810. Yep, he was only a year old. Oh, and then his mother died the following year. Okay. So, then he was picked up by, I believe maybe that's either his aunt and uncle or just two random people that knew the family. But yeah, I mean, I guess that would explain why all of his stories were so tragic. The man was probably pretty tortured himself. What an upsetting, a horrible childhood. I mean, hopefully he grew up a little happier and healthier, but I don't know. Considering his stories, I'm not so sure. Going to a haunted event tomorrow and next week. Ooh, so exciting! I hope it's very spooky and creepy. I hope that you get some good, genuine scares in there and nothing that's just like, oh, this is for babies. Whee, pumpkin time! Unfortunately, all the cemeteries in the city are pretty far out and none are centrally located. We do have haunted walks, but I've already been on all of them. Why am I not surprised that you've been on every haunted walk available, Jacob? Hello, I ate up with you. Hello, hello. Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. Do you like the new set? We're gonna be reading some Edgar Allan Poe stories in just a little bit. But yeah, that sounds really exciting though. Lots of haunted events. I need to find more haunted events for me to go to. I know I have a couple of Halloween parties coming up, but you know, those are Halloween parties. Those aren't... Well, I mean, they are scary, but for a different reason. They're scary because I actually have to, like, leave my cave and socialize with people, and that's terrifying for me. But, you know, it's not the kind of scary that I'm craving. That's the kind of scary that I don't like. I want a scary where it's like, you know, haunted house, creepy graveyard, that kind, the fun kind of scary. Spooky. Got an event nearby on the 13th at a nearby art experience venue in Columbus. Ooh, so it's gonna be all like horror-based art? Or is it just gonna be like a regular art experience? I mean, either way, that sounds really cool. This is gonna be such a busy month for me that I'm just like, oh, am I even gonna have time to go on like fun haunted events? I really hope I can. I'm really hoping I'll get to. That would be really fun. Well, alright. Why, I know it's a little bit early and we haven't done too much chatting today, but I just really want to get into these stories. So why don't we get into our first one, shall we? Shall we? Are you all ready? Let me pause the music. And we're gonna put the creepy music back on. Good enough volume for everybody? You guys can all hear me? Good. I'm glad. So, for our first story tonight, this is a tale of revenge, suggested by our dear mod, Dr. Karate. This is The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe. Get comfortable, everybody. The Cask of Amontillado. Fortunato had hurt me 1,000 times, and I had suffered quietly. But then I learned that he had laughed at my proud name, Montresor, the name of an old and honored family. I promised myself that I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. Winnie the Pooh voice? Wait, what? No! This is supposed to be scary! What? Okay, before, you know what? Oh, bother. I can't even do a good Winnie the Pooh voice. Damn it, I should have turned off that redeem. Only because I've had the brainworm of Winnie the Pooh stuck in my head. All right, here's what I'll do. I'll read a little bit more about Edgar Allan Poe and then in the Winnie the Pooh voice. And then I'll get back to the story. or I'll restart the story. I need this to be immersive. I did fail to consider the chaos. Sabotage indeed. What the fuck does Winnie the Pooh even sound like? I don't even remember. Wait, no. Don't refund, it's okay. What's done is done. I was about to put on, what does Winnie the Pooh sound like? Wait, does he sound like this? Hang the fuck on. Sorry, we're gonna deal with some silliness beforehand, guys. Because I'm committed. Winnie the Pooh. Okay. What does he sound like? And
down. All this exercise.
Yes, Piglet. I'm
Yes,
not.
Piglet.
I was doing my exercises.
I was doing my exercises today, but there is.
I've become a bit undone.
But I've become a bit undone at the seams. Is this good? This is terrible. This is the worst Winnie the Pooh voice I've ever heard. Oh, bother. Oh, bother. I'm making him sound way too much like Kermit the Frog. What shall we do today, Christopher Bunny? Poe was born in Boston, the second child of actors David and Elizabeth Eliza Poe. His father abandoned the family in 1810. When his mother died the following year, Poe was taken in by John and Frances Allen of Richmond, Virginia. Oh, bother. They never formally adopted him, but he was with them well into young adulthood. He attended the University of Virginia, but left after a year due to lack of money. He quarreled with John Allen over the funds of his education and his gambling debts.
Oh, wait, he had a gambling problem? Uh-oh.
In 1927, having enlisted in the United States Army under an assumed name, he published his first collection, Tamerlane and Other Poems, credited only to a Bostonian. Poe and Allen reached temporary rapprochement after the death of Allen's wife in 1829. Poe later failed as an officer cadet at West Point, declared a firm wish to be a poet and a writer, and parted ways with Allen.
Is this disrespectful? Is this disrespectful that I'm, like, reading all this really sad stuff about Edgar Allan Poe in a Winnie the Pooh voice? Wait, I just called him Edgar Allan Poe! Fluffy! I've been singing Death Talk songs all day, so throw it like me drinking right now. I do sound like Kermit. I'm sorry. Kermit with a cold. Oh, God. This is so silly. Okay, I'm gonna start the story. I'm expecting more chaos to be thrown at me, but that's okay. Chaos is always okay. Kermit with allergies and scene. God, it's hard to do Winnie the Pooh. It's difficult to do Winnie the Pooh because it's almost more about his dialogue. Yeah, it's more about, like, the different inflections that he uses more so than, like, his voice itself. I apologize for you know what? No, you have nothing to apologize for. You're only making the stream more entertaining, which is a good thing. It's a good thing! Okay, I gotta get out my giggles. Okay. Let's do this. The Cask of Amontillado. Let me turn down the music. Oh, we're off to... There we go. Fortunato had hurt me 1,000 times, and I had suffered quietly. But then, I learned that he had laughed at my proud name, Montresor, the name of an old and honored family. I promised myself that I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. You must not suppose, however, that I spoke of this to anyone. I would make him pay, yes, but I would only act with the greatest care. I must not suffer as a result of taking my revenge. A wrong is not made right in that manner. And, also, the wrong would not be made right unless Fortunato knew that he was paying and knew who was forcing him to pay. I gave Fortunato no cause to doubt me. I continued to smile in his face, and he did not understand that I was now smiling at the thought of what I planned for him, at the thought of my revenge. Fortunato was a strong man, a man to be feared. But he had one great weakness. He liked to drink good wine, and indeed, he drank much of it. So he knew a lot about fine wines, and proudly believed that he was a trained judge of them. Ha! I, too, knew old wines well, and I bought the best I could find. And wine, I thought, wine would give me my revenge. It was almost dark one evening in the spring when I met Fortunato in the street, alone. He spoke to me more warmly than was usual, for he already had drunk more wine than was good for him. I acted pleased to see him, and I shook his hand, as if he had been my closest friend. Fortunato, how good are you? Alright, you guys ready for this?
Montresor, good evening, my friend.
You see, that's the compromise. My dear Fortunato, I am indeed glad that I have met you. I was just thinking of you, for I have been tasting my new wine. I have bought a full cask of a fine wine which they tell me is Amontillado. But
Amontillado? Quite impossible.
I know. It does not seem possible. As I could not find you, I was just going to talk to Lucrezi. If anyone understands wines, it is Lucrezi. He will tell me.
Lucrezi? He does not know one wine from another.
But they say he knows as much about wines as you know.
Ho! Ho 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 ho! Oh, bother! Come, let us go.
Go where?
To your vaults, to taste the wine.
No, my friend, no. I can see that you are not well. And the vaults, they're cold and wet.
I do not care. Let us go. I'm well enough. I've had enough honey to last me a lifetime. The cold is nothing. Amontillado. Pah! Someone is playing games with you. And Lucrezi? Ah! Lucrezi knows nothing about wines. Nothing at all.
As he spoke, Fortunato took my arm, and I allowed him to hurry me to my great stone palace, where my family, the Montresors, had lived for centuries. There was no one at home. I had told the servants that they must not leave the palace, as I would not return until the following morning, and they must care for the place. This, I knew, was enough to make it certain that they would all leave as soon as my back was turned. I took down from their places on the wall 2 brightly burning lights. I gave one of these to Fortunato and led him to a wide doorway. There, we could see the stone steps going down into the darkness. Down, down, down. Asking him to be careful as he followed, I went down before him, down under the ground, deep under the old walls of my palace. We finally came to the bottom of the steps and stood there a moment, together. The earth which formed the floor was cold and hard. We were entering the last resting place of the dead Montresor family. Here, too, we kept our finest wines, here in the cool, dark, still air under the ground. Fortunato's step was not sure because of the wine he had been drinking. He looked uncertainly around him, trying to see through the thick darkness which pushed in around us. Here, our brightly burning light seemed weak indeed. But our eyes soon became used to the darkness. We could see the bones of the dead lying in large piles along the walls. The stones of the walls were wet and cold. From the long rows of bottles which were lying on the floor among the bones, I chose one which contained a very good wine. Since I did not have anything to open the bottle with, I struck the stone wall with it and broke off the small end. I offered the bottle to Fortunato. Here, Fortunato, drink some of this fine Medoc. It will help to keep us warm. Drink.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I drink to the dead who lie sleeping around us.
And I, Fortunato, I drink to your long life.
A very fine wine indeed. But the Amontillado?
Oh, it is farther on. Come. We walked on for some time. We were now under the river's bed, and water fell in drops upon us from above. Deeper into the ground we went, past still more bones.
Your vaults are many and large. There seems to be no end to them.
Oh, we are a great family, and an old one. It is not far now. Oh, but I can see you are trembling with the cold. Come, let us go back before it is too late.
Oh, it's nothing. Let us go on. But first, another drink of your Medoc.
I took up from among the bones another bottle. It was another wine of fine quality, a Déglave. Again, I broke off the neck of the bottle. Fortunato took it and drank it all without stopping for a breath. He laughed and threw the empty bottle over his shoulder. We went on deeper and deeper into the earth. Finally, we arrived at a vault in which the air was so old and heavy that our lights almost died. Against 3 of the walls were the piles of bones higher than our heads. From the 4th wall, someone had pulled down all the bones, and they were spread all around us on the ground. In the middle of the wall was an opening into another vault, if I can call it that. A little room about 3 feet wide, 6 or 7 feet high, and perhaps 4 feet deep. It was hardly more than a hole in the wall. Go on, I said. Go in. The Amontillado is in there. Fortunato continued to go forward, uncertainly. I followed him immediately. Soon, of course, he reached the back wall. He stood there for a moment, facing the wall, surprised and wondering. In that wall were 2 heavy iron rings. A short chain was hanging from one of these, and a lock from the other. Before Fortunato could guess what was happening, I closed the lock and chained him tightly to the wall. I stepped back. Fortunato, I said, put your hand against the wall. You must feel how the water runs over it. Once more I ask you, please, will you not go back? No. Oh, if not, then I must leave you. But first, I must do everything I can for you.
But the Amontillado?
Oh, yes, indeed. The Amontillado. As I spoke these words, I began to search among the bones. Throwing them to one side, I found the stones which earlier I had taken down from the wall. Quickly, I began to build the wall again, covering the hole where Fortunato stood, trembling.
Montresor, what are you doing?
I continued working. I could hear him pulling at the chain, shaking it wildly. Only a few stones remained to put in their place.
Montresor, ha! This is a very good joke indeed. Many times we will laugh about it as we drink our wine together. Ha ha.
Of course, as we drink the Amontillado.
But is it not late? Should we not be going back? They will be expecting us. Let us go.
Yes, let us go, I said. As I said this, I lifted the last stone from the ground.
Montresor! For the love of God!
Yes, for the love of God! I heard no answer. Fortunato, I cried. Fortunato? I heard only a soft, low sound, a half cry of fear. My heart grew sick. It must have been the cold. I hurried to force the last stone into its position, and I put the old bones again in a pile against the wall. For half a century now, no human hand has touched them. May he rest in peace. The end. That was the cask of Amontillado. What did we all think? Oh, I didn't even notice you guys had switched my model while I was reading it. Wait, this is perfect for it, because it's a glass of wine. Thank you, Fluffy. What'd you think? Was that good? And scene. Poe invented negging. Yeah, no, it's a very classic tale of revenge. What I want to know is, how did all of those bodies get in there in the first place? Because if it was supposed to be in his home, it's like you would think that people would have cleaned up all the bodies that have been collected there over the years. But no, it's just nothing but old bones down there. And I've always found that so freaky. Winnie the Pooh, yeah. Did you guys also like the Winnie the Pooh voice that I used? A nice compromise, right? Right? But what do you think? Does anybody have any thoughts, any feelings on that one? Everybody find it creepy? I certainly did. Fluffy, I choose you. But yeah, was that relaxing? Did I do a good job on that one? It might be a sign that Montresor's family is in decline. That's true. Yeah, maybe the reason, actually, that, Fortunato was always making fun of Montresor and disrespecting him was because maybe him and his family were penniless, but they still had a lot of pride. So yeah, I think we can learn a lot of lessons from this story, indeed. It's like you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what madness people hold within, how far people will go to keep the respect on their family's name. Or just how far they'll go in general for revenge, you know? They don't have the staff to maintain it, and he's very prickly about it. Yeah, that's true. He does kind of drop all these little hints throughout that suggest that maybe his family is not so well off, and they were kind of seen as, like, you know, fools of town or whatnot. Just a really good story. Thank you so much for suggesting it, Dr. Karate. A perfect way to start off the evening. Definitely, indeed. Has anybody ever tried Amontillado wine before? I think that's how it's pronounced. I apologize if I wasn't pronouncing that word the whole time. I looked it up yesterday, and it sounded like that's how you pronounce it. I know it's like a very either Italian or French kind of name. I know it's actually a wine that does exist, like a very old kind of wine. Old, delicious, very well aged, just like, perfection. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Did everybody like it? A plus. What would you rate it? How scary would you rate it? I guess I wouldn't exactly say maybe that one is like, I probably picked that one first because I would say it's like the least like scary out of all of them. I mean, the idea of getting trapped within like a brick wall that somebody like glues you in essentially is pretty scary. Like the claustrophobia. I imagine he either suffocated to death or he starved to death, or maybe he was able to reach for other types of wines and he just consumed all of them until he drank himself to death. I don't know. S tier. Yeah, no, it's such a great story. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I rate it 5 glossy JPEGs of Weeping Choke out of 10. Ah! That's a real scare for tonight. That's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. Witch hat, what happened to the bread? I still don't know what this bread that you're talking about is. I went back even to watch the VOD, and I still didn't see any bread. I think everybody just needs to get their eyes checked here, but no. I'm in a witch hat today because I am reading Edgar Allan Poe stories for everybody, and I wanted to get into the creepy Halloween spirit. We just finished The Cask of Amontillado, and thank you so much for joining, Maplesar. It's good to see you. But yeah, that was our first story. Also probably the shortest of the 3. Don't worry, none of them are too crazy long. But a really good one, for sure. So that was number 1. Is everybody ready to move on to our second terrifying tale of tonight? This next one is called The Mask of Red Death. This is a tale of opulence, of success, of protection, and of what happens when you are blissfully ignorant to all of the horrors that surround you. I hope we all survive tonight. Story number 2, The Mask of the Red Death, by Edgar Allan Poe. The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, then profuse bleedings at the pores with disillusion. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. The wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers, and welded the bolts. They resolved to leave means neither of ingress or egress to the sudden impulses of despair from without or of frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned. With such precautions, the courtiers might bid defiance to contagion. The external world would take care of itself. In the meantime, it was folly to grieve or to think. The prince had provided all the appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were improvisatori, There were ballet dancers, there were musicians, there were cards, there was beauty, there was wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. Also, warning, this story will make you hate rich people, even more than you probably already do. It was towards the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. It was a voluptuous scene, that masquerade. This was what I imagined Poe's house to actually look like before I learned that he was dirt poor. But first, let me tell of the rooms in which it was held. There were 7, an imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long and straight vista, while the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either hand, so that the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here, the case was very different. As might have been expected from the Duke's love of the bizarre. Well, at least we have that in common. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced but little more than one at a time. There was a sharp turn at every 20 or 30 yards, and at each turn a novel effect. To the right and left, in the middle of each wall, a tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor which perused the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass, whose color varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, and vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple, in its ornaments and tapestries, and here the panes were purple. The third was green throughout, one of my favorite colors, and so were the casements. The fourth was furnished and litten with orange, the 5th with white, the 6th with violet. The 7th apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung over the ceiling and down the walls, falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. But in his chamber only, the color of the windows failed to correspond with the decorations. The panes here were scarlet, a deep blood color. My actual favorite color. Now, in no one of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum amid the profusion of golden ornaments that lay scattered to and fro or depended from the roof. There was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers. But in the corridors that followed the suite, there stood, opposite to each window, a heavy tripod, bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass and so glaringly illumined the room. And thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. Blech! But in the western or black chamber, the effect of the firelight that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes was ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of those who entered that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. I bet that room's not going to be important later. It was in this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony. Its pendulums swing to and fro with a dull, heavy, monotonous clang, and when its minute hand made the circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, there came forth from the brazen lungs of the clock a sound which was clear and loud and deep and exceedingly musical, but of so peculiar a note and emphasis that, at each lapse of an hour, the musicians in the orchestra were constrained to pause momently in their performance, to hearken to the sound, and thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company. Not of the straight company? And, while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and that the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows as if in confused reverie or meditation. Thank you for the hydrate, Redeem. But, when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter at once pervaded the assembly, and the musicians looked at each other and smiled, as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to each other, that the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embrace 3,600 seconds of the time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then were the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. But, in spite of these things, it was a gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the Duke were peculiar. He had a fine eye for colors and effects. He disregarded the decora of mere fashion. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric lust. There are some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure that he was not. Poe did say gay rights, and we love him for it. He had directed, in great part, the movable embellishments of the 7 chambers upon occasion of this great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the costumes of the masqueraders. Oh, be sure they were grotesque. I wouldn't be reading this story if they weren't grotesque. I love grotesque. There were much glare and glitter and piquancy and phantasm, much of what has since seen in Hernani. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as the madman fashions. There was much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the 7 chambers there stalked a fact, a multitude of dreams. And these, the dreams, writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms, and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And, anon, there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvet, and then, momentarily, all is still, and all is silent, save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff, frozen as they stand. But the echoes of the chime, ding, 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 die away. They have endured but an instant, and a light, half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now again the music swells, and the dreams live, and writhe to and fro more merrily than ever, taking hue from the many-tinted windows through which stream the rays from the tripods. But to the chamber which lies most westwardly of the 7, there are now none of the maskers who venture, for the night is waning away, and there flows a ruddier light through the blood-colored panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appalls, and to him whose foot falls upon the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a muffled peal more solemnly emphatic than any which reaches their ears who indulge in the more remote gaieties of the other apartments. But these other apartments were densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life. And the revel went whirlingly on until at length was sounded the 12th hour upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted. There was an uneasy cessation of all things as before, but now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept, with more of time, into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who reveled, my bad. Please forgive me for any word mix-ups I have. And thus again it happened, perhaps, that before the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk into silence, there were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure, which had arrested the attention of no single individual before. And the rumor of this new presence having spread itself whisperingly around, there arose at length from the whole company a buzz or murmur, expressive at first of disapprobation and surprise, then finally of terror, of horror, and of disgust. In an assembly of phantasms such as I have painted, it may well be supposed that no ordinary appearance could have excited such sensation. In truth, the masquerade license of the night was nearly unlimited, but the figure in question had out-Heroded Herod and gone beyond the bounds of even the prince's indefinite decorum. There are no chords in the hearts of the most reckless which cannot be touched without emotion. Even with the utterly lost, to whom life and death are equally jests, there are matters of which no jest can be properly made. The whole company, indeed, seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of the stranger neither wit nor properly existed. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closet scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet, all this might have been endured, if not approved, by the mad revelers around. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all the features of his face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, which, with a slow and solemn movement, as if more fully to sustain its role, stalked to and fro among the waltzers, he was seen to be convulsed, in the first moment with a strong shudder either of terror or distaste, but in the next, his brow reddened with rage. "Who dares?" he demanded hoarsely of the group that stood around him. "Who dares thus make mockery of our woes? Uncase the varlet that we may know whom we have to hang tomorrow at sunrise from the battlements. Will no one stir at my bidding? Stop him, and strip him, I say, of those reddened vestures of sacrilege!" It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood the Prince Prospero as he uttered these words. They rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly, for the prince was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It was in the blue room where stood the prince, with a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of this group in the direction of the intruder, who at the moment was also near at hand, and now, with deliberate and stately step, made closer approach to the speaker. But from a certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party, there were found none who put forth hand to seize him, so that, unimpeded, he passed within a yard of the prince's person. And while the vast assembly, as if with one impulse, shrank from the centers of the rooms to the walls, he made his way, uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn and measured step which had distinguished him from the first, through the blue chamber to the purple, through the purple to the green, through the green to the orange, through this again to the white, and even thence to the violet, ere a decided movement had been made to arrest him. It was then, however, that Prince Prospero, maddening with rage and the shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers. While none followed him on account of a deadly terror that had seized upon all, he bore aloft a drawn dagger, and had approached, in rapid impetuosity, to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly round and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, "Ah!" and the dagger dropped, gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which instantly afterwards fell prostrate in death the Prince Prospero. Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment, and, seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask, which they handled with so violent a rudeness, untenated by any tangible form. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. The end. What did we all think of that one? That was the mask of the Red Death. So yes, did that make you hate all people that live opulent and have so much more money than you could ever hope to see in your lifetime? I figured that would be another fun little revenge tale for us, a good cautionary tale. I also thought it would be very fitting because, you know, it deals with things like, I don't know, stuff that could be a little more relatable to this day and age, like a plague. Not that we would know anything about, you know, recent plagues or anything. And kind of, it's just a kind of a, it's a very, it's a tale that I think feels very, like, timeless in a way, because whenever something happens, like something like the Red Death or, you know, any other global epidemic, it's interesting to see how class really just shows, how class really plays a part in the caring of people who suffer from these diseases, the protection of others, and just really everything. It's like, I remember when the pandemic was happening, and then you hear about the ways that rich people were able to get treated and how much harder it was for everybody else to be able to get treated, to be able to get tested, given the vaccine. It's just, I don't know, it feels like something that could happen today as well. Just people hiding in their ivory towers, unaware of all of the suffering that's around them. The story hits different now. Eat the rich, but not these specific ones, as they are a bit ew. Yeah, I don't think I would eat any of these rich people now because I'm not looking to get the Red Death anytime soon. Poe said gay rights. Yeah, when I was reading through this again yesterday, I was like, wow, they say gay a lot in this story. I feel like chats can have fun with that. I mean, of course, gay meant something different in that time. I know it meant happy, but, I'm just gonna say that it actually means, you know. If I could make the hand gesture, I would with my model. Maybe I'll get that done with Lilith 2.0. But I hope you guys enjoyed that one as well. I like to incorporate little sound effects and everything in there to make it more immersive. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, for Telltale Heart, if you guys have anything that you want to write down in chat while I'm reading the story, I can point out people's messages in chat. I don't want to have to force you guys to just be silent while I read the stories, you know? We can make it more interactive if you like. But yeah, that's another creepy one. Just, I love, one thing I really love about that story is like how descriptive it is of everything. Like I love the way that all of the rooms are described, the way the clock is described. It's so visual. You can just picture it in your head so well. I find Poe is very good with his imagery. I think that's definitely been always one of his strongest points in his stories. What do you guys like most about Poe's stories? Do you like the imagery? Do you like the lessons, the messages, the characters, the descents into madness? There's so much to love about his stories. It's been really fun reading these to you guys. I really hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This is a lot of fun for me. Super dramatic and paints the pictures and emotions super well. It sure does. Definitely the emotional part of it. Like at the very end, you can feel Prince Prospero, like all his huge range of emotions, the way that he kind of changes from being like confused to being angry to then just, you know, completely fearing for his life. But you know, that's what happens. That's what happens when you ignore the suffering of all of those around you and try to build walls around yourself. You think it's protecting you, but all it's doing is just making you unaware. All it's doing is making you ignorant, hiding you from the world. So, you know, it's just like be a better person. Don't be so sheltered. And help out people who are suffering. Don't just lock up all your rich friends in your tower and then hope that it'll go away eventually and then just, you know, partying while it all happens. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. Maybe at the end we can do like a poll or something over like what story that you guys like the best. And maybe if you're still feeling it, we can do one more that's chat requested if you guys would like that. Oh, Fluffy, thank you so much for putting the pinned comment up there. Yeah, I forgot to mention this before we started reading the stories, but I did release a cover. This isn't horror related or Poe related, but I released my first karaoke cover on my YouTube channel. I released a full version and I released a little clip as well of it to bring people to the full version. It's of the song Drifter in the Dark by Ween. I really hope you guys like it. I really want to do more covers. If it gets good reception, I'll try to post more. Because I want more content to put out there. And I like to sing on stream, but sometimes I just get so nervous that I feel like I'm not doing a good job with my singing. But if I could do it pre-recorded, I feel like I can do a better job. But I hope you guys like that. I hope you all like the song. I was thinking of singing like a creepy song to start off stream today, but I was just feeling so nervous already that I decided against it. But maybe another time. Maybe I'll open up another horror stream with like a creepy song or something if you guys would like that. I was kind of I was like stuck between whether I was gonna do the song One by Harry Nilsson, because I think that kind of has a creepy piano tune in it. Or The End by My Chemical Romance, the very first song off of the Black Parade. Either one of them I think would have been good, but maybe another time when I'm not feeling quite as nervous. Alright, before we get into the last story, I'm just gonna go take a quick bathroom break. I will be right back. You guys please talk amongst yourselves. BRB. I just remembered another terrifying tale while I was in the bathroom. And now I'm going to tell you all. A terrifying tale, intermission style. This intermission style tale takes place in the universe of The Sopranos. One day, in a big giant house in New Jersey, Tony Soprano was taking a walk to his refrigerator in his ratty bathrobe and his slippers. He turned to his wife Carmela and he asked, "We got any gabagool in the fridge?" Carmela turned to him and sighed and said, "I went to the store earlier today, but I don't remember. You're gonna have to check." With pure rage in his eyes, Tony walked over to the fridge and he threw it open. But when he looked inside, there was no gabagool to be found. The end. Terrifying, right? That's probably the scariest tale of the night. I'm really sorry if that one gives all of you nightmares tonight. I know there is absolutely nothing scarier than not having a single slice of gabagool in the fridge. I know. But there's no need to panic. It's okay. It's just a story. Tony Soprano's gabagool is not real. It cannot hurt you. But I'm back. Did everybody enjoy themselves while I was gone in my bathroom break? I gotta tell you, it's really hard finding a bathroom in the cemetery. It's very hard because it's like, you know, the little hole under the cemetery where I live, it's kind of a long walk from here. I wanted to be in like a different part of the cemetery just to get a little change of pace, you know. But it's the farther I get away from my little hole, I'm just like, oh great, there's no bathrooms in here in sight. So you just gotta look for a tree. But it's like you don't want one that's too close to a grave because it'd be considered disrespectful. So it was a little bit of a mess. But you know what? It's all right. Hopefully I won't get poison ivy, and we'll just have to deal with that. Oh, and thank you for promoting the YouTube channel, Fluffy. Have you ever had some memes that you would like to send with Lily to be a part of Bunny Cult? Yeah, thank you so much for promoting the Discord, too. If there's anybody here who's not a part of the Discord yet, you should join. It's 18 plus, but we have a good time in there. We like to keep it pretty active, share lots of silly memes, share pictures of our pets, share our favorite terrifying tales to tell in the night. So please join if you have not. I promise you a good time in there. What's everybody drinking tonight? Does everybody have a nice hot cozy drink with them? Blankets, stuffed animals, your pets? Not that you're drinking those, but I hope you have those around you as well. But does anybody have hot chocolate or tea? I might make some tea after this for myself. I'll have to find some leaves scattered throughout the graveyard and make something. Me, I'm just drinking water today, but that's okay. Okay. We are here. We are back. Sipping some herbal lemon tea with the old pupper. Oh, how's the old pupper? How's your cat doing? Is the kitty warming up even more, Dr. Karate? Word of mouth is best way to spread the word of our queen. Consider recommending your friends to join the cult. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the promotion today. I really appreciate that a lot. Yes, spread the good word of Lilith to your friends. I know today, I'm reading scary stories, but usually I'm playing a game, or I'm doing tier lists, or I'm finding new ways to let my chat punish me. It's a good time here. So yeah, if you like all of that stuff, if you like scary games, if you like Pokemon, if you like the occasional cozy game or visual novel, then spread the word to all your friends, your family, your pets, convicted felons, whoever you need to. I'm not picky. I found a weighted heatable detective corgi plush today. Weighted and heatable? Oh my god, that's amazing! Where did you find that? That's an incredible find. Did you find that at like a curiosity shop or something? Oh, I want one. Is the heat nice? Does it feel good? I love a heated blanket. Or I used to have a heating pad that I would put on my tummy whenever it hurt. I might still have it, but it's kind of old. I don't know if it works anymore. Kitty's doing well. She's more bold and hoping that she will accept the old pup so he can spend more time here. Aw, don't worry. They'll warm up to each other. Sometimes it's hard with cats and dogs when they're together, but I've seen so many videos lately of cats and dogs like cuddling and loving each other. So I know it's possible. Just keep working on her and she'll keep doing better and better every day. Home goods? Oh, I need to get myself to home goods. I hope I have one around me. Do they have them in kitty or bunny as well? Although I'd be fine with corgi. Corgis are one of my favorite dogs. I showed my friends the other day the little video that I think you sent Fluffy in the Discord server of the corgis in the park. That made me so happy. They were so cute. I was like, this is what heaven looks like. Me making creamy mushroom soupy. Oh, Owie Alex, thank you so much for the tier 1 resub at 9 months. Thank you. We appreciate the support so much. And welcome on in. We're reading Edgar Allan Poe stories tonight. I read The Cask of Amontillado and The Mask of the Red Death already, and we have one more to go after a little bit more of a chit-chat. As for me, making creamy mushroom soups. Share some with me. I would love a creamy soup. I'm still craving my clam chowder. I haven't gotten my clam chowder yet, but it's been a little bit sticky here these past couple of days, so I want to wait until it starts to get really cold again so I can get myself a nice New England-style clam chowder. Oh yeah, also, Edgar Allan Poe is from Massachusetts, New England. The horror capital of America. I just saw the corgi and kind of blanked out until I was at the register. Oh, I can't tell you the amount of times that I have been there, Lumi-chan. I have been there many a time. Like when I went to the Pokemon Center a couple months ago, and then I blacked out, and when I came to, I was at the register, and there was a Mime Jr. plush right in front of me on the counter, and I had my debit card in my hand, and it was on top of the little electronic thing where you pay. I really don't know how I got there. It just kind of how happened. I couldn't explain it to you myself. But these things, they kind of just happen. You get it. The cask of Amarillo and the mask of bread death. Bread death. There was no bread. The bread is a lie. There was never any bread. I even made an Instagram, not an Instagram reel. I even made a YouTube short about it. Maybe I should make an Instagram for Lilith just so I have more places to post my content. But thank you for all the support, everybody. I need a corgi blanket. My cat has been really finicky lately with his food. So I've been like, God damn it, now I have to change up your food again, and you still won't ever sit on my lap, you'll only sit next to me. So I need something nice and heated that I can put on my lap. The children's also use the Tic Tacs. Should I make one? I don't know. I'm one of those people that wants to be somebody who's like, I've never made a TikTok account, and I never will. But I don't know. I probably should make one. Just so it's another place. I'm like, I know that if I get a TikTok, I will get addicted to it. And I'm already addicted to too many other things. But it would be a good place to post my shorts. So maybe I should make a TikTok. And buy a thing of Tic Tacs to make my breath smell good and not like garlic to keep the vampires away. Actually, that's a lie. I only had garlic because I was feeling hungry for something garlicky for lunch. I don't want to keep the vampires away. I want to bring them to me. I want them to suck my blood and be near me and be gorgeous. The true horror is seeing your age reflected back at you by your use. Listen, that's why I'm a VTuber. That's why I'm a fucking VTuber, so I don't have to stare into a webcam at my fleshy face and be like, boy, you look tired today. Look at all those bags under your eyes. That's a true horror. No. Like this, I can just be cute all the goddamn time. You can limit the screen time for TikTok, so that should help. Oh, that's a good idea. I should use those, like, limiting apps that's just, like, after a while, I'll get a notification. It'll just be like, hey, get back to work, you little bunster. You little bunster munster. You little piece of bunster munster cheese. Oh, I really hope, speaking of horror, I really hope that none of you guys got too scared when you heard the national alarm that had to go off on everybody's phones the other day, any of my American viewers. For me, I was in the bathroom when it happened, so I did not hear the buzz myself because my phone was in my room. I think my phone was on silent too, but yeah, I must have missed it. So I'm kind of sad though that I missed out on it. I kind of have FOMO. I feel robbed that I didn't get turned into a zombie. Well, who says you won't by the end of this stream? I did tell you guys that you might not survive the night after hearing these tales, huh? Never say never. It's not Halloween yet. It may be Halloween month, but it's not Halloween yet. What should I carve these pumpkins into, by the way? I want to make jack-o'-lanterns, and I have these two perfectly plump pumpkins at my left and my right. So give me suggestions for what I should carve into them after this stream. With my favorite knife, which I only use for carving pumpkins. And for nothing else. One needs to be a Mime Junior? That's a great idea! I should do that. I should make a Mime Junior pumpkin. I was playing Pokemon Go the other day, and there must be a Detective Pikachu event happening right now, because not only did I catch a Pikachu with a hat on, I also caught a Slowpoke with a tiny little hat on. He looks so funny. I love him. So maybe the pumpkin on my left, I'll make Mime Junior, and the pumpkin on my right, I'll make Slowpoke. With a hat. Bet you look better in a hat. Alright, enough of the clowning around. We can get to the last story of the evening. Possible last story of the evening. Yeah, Detective Pikachu being released soon. Oh yeah, the new game! I forgot that there was a new Detective Pikachu game coming out. At first I was like, is there a movie coming out or a new one coming out? Because it was being advertised to me on my Roku the other day. So, and I was like, why is this getting recommended now? This came out like 4 years ago. Detective Pikachu 2. I've never even played the first one. Are they both on Switch? Should I play Detective Pikachu on stream? Or is it too much of like a like a little kid game. Is it like friendly for like I was about to say older streamers, but I'm like, no, not gonna use that word. For streamers that are not minors. The first was on 3DS, so not sure if it's getting ported. Poopy! Well, maybe I could play Detective Pikachu 2 on stream. I mean, would I have to know anything about the first one? I've seen the movie. I know enough about Detective Pikachu. It's fucking Ryan Reynolds, and he's gonna drink his coffee, and he's gonna make his little jokes, and that's what's going to happen, right? Is that all I need to know before playing Detective Pikachu 2? I have no idea how I would be able to get a 3DS game on stream. I'm not even gonna, like, try that with ROMs or anything. But we'll see. Maybe it could be fun. I like being a detective. But you know what I like being even more? A witch and a storyteller. I'm not playing it until someone mods the Danny DeVito to voice Pikachu. Yeah, I forgot that everybody wanted Danny to voice Pikachu. That should have been the true voice all along. I agree. It would have been so great. I got my fucking coffee. With a coffin. First I solve the crime, and then I throw garbage all over the arena, and I eat trash. The fact that Ryan Reynolds was the voice of Pikachu, not Danny DeVito, is a crime. I agree. I agree completely. It was a federal crime. The highest level. Game voice is closer to Danny than Ryan. Alright, well that's good news at least. Even though I wouldn't be able to give them my own funny voices, I guess I can listen to other talented people give funny voices. I could do that. We'll see if it's worth it. Maybe I'll ask on the Discord server if people would be interested in seeing me play that. Although I might want to wait until October is over because I still want to do more horror-themed streams this month. Ooh, this is nice. I like this track. However, we need to get back to the creepy music. Royalty-free horror ambiance 10-hour edition. Let's see. Atmospheric horror synth. Dark Victorian music. Let's see. What would be a good mood for the Telltale Heart? I don't know if I want anything too synthy. Cause it's not a 1980s story. 1 hour of royalty-free horror music. Maybe that's good. Give me the creepy stuff. Give me the creepy crawlies. I like banging, solving. I like solving crime and banging whores. Creaky floors, low thumping beats. Ooh, I can make my own creaky floor sound. I learned something new today. This is nice. This is kind of slow and eerie. Alright. Is everybody ready for the final story of the evening? I must warn you, this one I find to be the most terrifying of the three thus far. A lot of you, I'm sure, know it well. It may have even been read to you when you were younger, when you first maybe grew your interest in Mr. Poe. It's a tale of a man gone mad. It's a tale of murder, a tale of crime, of passion, and of a horrible, aching, beating heart. This, my friends, the final story of the evening, is The Telltale Heart. The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why will You say that I am mad. The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe now how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain. Not once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it gradually fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad? Mad rabbits know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, and what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of the door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. Please don't clip that out of context. I moved it slowly, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me about an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? A mad rabbit been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. Hello, Dean Metchin. I am going mad as rabbits, and we are reading The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. It is good to see you. And this I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just as 12, I looked in upon him while he slept, just as I do with every single one of you in my chat. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers. And so I knew he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily, steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh, no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them clauseless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It's nothing but the wind in the chimney. It's only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little, a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from out the crevice and fell upon his vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness. All a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon that damned spot. And now I have not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses. Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Spoopy Lilith, I'm hellish Lilith tonight. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating, it grew louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, "Ah!" I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head, and the arms, and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. Sorry, that violin is a bit loud. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatsoever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. Oh, what relief. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been debuted to search the premises. You think I'm crazy? Well, would a crazy person chop up a body and hide it under the floorboards? Would a crazy person do that, officers? I smiled. For what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all around the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But they still sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness. Until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound. Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh, God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore! I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, louder, louder! And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard it not? Almighty God, no, no! They heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But, anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder, 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 louder! Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more! I admit the deed! Tear up the planks! Here! Here! It is the beating of his hideous heart. The end. What did we all think? Are we all scared? Who's to say that wasn't actually me in this story? I've never given you my age before. All you know is I'm quite thousands of years old. I could have been there the whole time. They never stated whether the narrator was a man. Nor a monster. It's all up to you. Telltale heart, more like telltale fart. Am I right, chat? High five. Nice one. I'm glad that I saved reading that until after I finished. Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room with rats. And rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room with rats, and rats make me pretty happy. I like rats. I was looking at a rat at the train platform the other day. Did I do a good job with narrating that one? That one was definitely the most fun for me. That was definitely the one I was looking forward to the most. There's nothing more that I love than a story about somebody's descent into madness. What's with this copy pasta? What is that from? You know what? And what's most interesting about the story is it really could have been avoided if they had just given the poor old man some goddamn cataract surgery. No, moral of the story is don't have blue eyes. Because you're scaring people with those things. Those cold, blue, chilling eyes. You voice acted all over that place. Thank you! I shat on that stage. I pissed all over it. That one is such a classic. I would say that that's probably his most famous out of all of his stories, which is why I figured it would be quite appropriate to read tonight. And also, Dr. Karate, thank you so much for the suggestion of that one. I used to wonder how the old man didn't notice the light in his eye, that my 65-pound dog managed to jump into my bed at night without touching me, without me noticing. I mean, I feel like the light, I mean, the cataract probably blinded him a little bit. I imagine it was probably a little harder for him to see with that thing. Or maybe since he was old, he was already kind of going blind. That's my only explanation for why he wouldn't have been able to see the light on right on his eye. Maybe he thought it was a ghost. Maybe he thought it was like observation duty, where he's like, hey, there's an anomaly in my house. I'll just wait until tomorrow and I'll call the observation dutier. The observer. Is that your title in observation duty? The observer? I feel like it is. Shit, pissed, and ate. Not necessarily in that order. No, it is in that order. I shit, I pissed, and then I went to go eat more macaroni and cheese and Mexican food and fibrous apples, and I drank a shit ton of water and tea, and then I repeated the whole process. I repeated the entire process. But thank you all for listening to all of my stories tonight. Or Poe's stories, I guess, but my tellings of these stories. Did you enjoy this? Is this something that you would want to watch again? I shit-pissed and then I went to go eat Mexican food. What, you've never done that before? You've never gotten out of bed, went to go take your morning pee, your morning poo, and then you go out for the morning tequila and Huevos Rancheros special at your local Mexican delicatessen? You've never done that before? I thought that was a universal experience. very chill experience. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope it was just as entertaining as watching me play a game. I'd really like to be able to do more of these. And you know what? Maybe next time I will incorporate more chaos, where it's like I'll set some rules where it's like you guys are definitely allowed to give me more like silly voices to do. Because after getting that first redeem, Fluffy, I was just like, this gives me an idea. So we could do more like you guys, we could do streams where it's like I'll read like any kind of story, like short story or creepypasta or something, and then you guys can decide what voice I have to put on while I read it. Would that be fun? I feel like that could be a good time for a stream. You don't really like Mexican food anyway? Oh, okay. I guess it's not a universal experience. Well, maybe then piss shit and then go eat a whole pizza. If you're lactose intolerant, it'll have the same effect. But yeah, I hope that was fun for everybody. It was pretty fun for me. I love being able to do things like this. I love reading stories. Ever since I was a kid, I've liked reading books out loud to people and getting really into it, doing voices. One of the first things that that made me consider voice acting as like something I could do was in one of my high school English classes, I had a teacher who would always pick me to read. And he was like, oh, I want to pick you because you have such a warm voice, such a good voice for reading. And a lot of other teachers always commented on how I would like incorporate emotion while I was reading. Because it's like, you know how a lot of kids, when they're bored in English class, they'll read it super monotone, like they're not interested at all. But I don't know, I liked English class, so I liked doing that. So that was and after hearing that, that was like probably the first thing that made me be like, huh, that's an interesting thought. And then it wasn't really until I got to college that I started doing more voice acting and being on like some Newgrounds animations and things. I think it'd be funny to be doing a serious read, then based on a redeem, you have to change to an entirely different story at a random point. Ooh, that's a cool idea. That would get really chaotic really fast, and that sounds very exciting. Great idea. I'm gonna write that down, and maybe like mods, we can like plan a whole thing about that. Yeah, so it's like we do a serious read, and then you would do, and then yeah, a serious read of like a very short story, and then I get the redeem, whatever they want the voice to be, and then we either go back to the same story and read it again with the voice, or we go to a completely new story and read it with that voice. That would be so much fun! Would you guys like to see that? I'd rather have chiquillos over huevos rancheros. What are those? That sounds good. I haven't really had a lot of Mexican breakfasts in my lifetime, but I just wanted to name an egg dish. But what are chiaquille? Is that how it's pronounced? When I was walking through the subway the other day, I saw one of those ladies with the carts where she had like a whole cup of fruit, and you could get like tahini and chamoy all over it. And I was a part of me considered wanting to get one, but I think you have to pay in cash with those. I didn't have any cash. I was just like, how good right now would a giant cup of watermelon sprinkled with tahini and chamoy be at this very moment? That sounds like a goddamn meal to me if I've ever heard one. And eating chamoy is good right now because it looks like blood. It's a good spice to put on your food if you want to make like a Halloween-themed dish and you want like something that's blood that's not ketchup. Chamoy is what you want. Tortilla chips with chile mole and some queso fresco and eggs. Ooh, wait, I want that. I want that. That actually sounds more appealing to me than the huevos rancheros because I don't like beans. So I want the chilaquile. That sounds tasty. I love all of those things. Mole is so tasty. Is this the same royalty-free music I was playing earlier? It is. This is interesting. Ghost Stories Incorporated royalty-free horror tracks. This is kind of fun. Also, the other day when I was in the subway, I did a double take when I saw
all of the advertisements that they had for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Oh shit, we're getting dramatic. Oh, it's over. I liked that. But yeah, it's weird now seeing like Five Nights at Freddy's advertisements in public places that aren't like a GameStop, you know? I mean, I know that we see merch everywhere now, but this was like weird because I remember when the game first came out and it was just this like weird little indie game, and now it's like exploded to a fucking blockbuster picture. Oh yeah, isn't it coming out soon actually? It's coming out at the end of the month, right? I may just need to go see it just for like the meme. I don't know. You need to see what I posted in the group chat 3 minutes ago. Oh boy, I'm prepared. I'm ready. October 27th, eager to see the movie. Oh, that's sooner than I thought. Everybody needs to have their Five Nights parties where we all go dressed up as the characters and we all commit the Bite of 87 while the movie is playing. Do you think they'll include the Bite of 87? Do you think Markiplier is gonna have a cameo? I feel like it would be really funny if he was not in the movie. I don't know. I feel like it would be so much funnier that way if it's like everybody's expecting him to be there and then it's just like, nope, nothing. And then it says maybe he was like a grip or a second AD or like a PA or something. Just to still see his name in the credits. I honestly don't think they're gonna include anything linked to the main storyline. Oh, so maybe it'll just be like its own completely original thing, and it'll just be like, new guy gets hired to work at Fazbear's Pizza, and he has to survive 5 nights there, and they'll have some other fucking throwaway characters that nobody's gonna care about. But it'll be fun and camp at the end of the day. I think MatPat will have a cameo. Fucking MatPat? Well, MatPat did help skyrocket that game to fame. Not single-handedly, but he certainly helped. I wonder how many online internet cameos will be in there. But that's just a theory. A movie theory. A film theory. Sorry, I've been inhaling too much. I've been inhaling way too much of this graveyard smoke here. I think there's a few ghoulies and zombies by a tree all the way on the other side of the park, and they're doing something illegal, and the smell, it's trailing over here. For once in my life, it's just a secondhand high. Thank you for the hydrate redeem. Well, I guess before I end off today, are there any other stories that you guys would like to hear? I'm sorry that this stream was a little shorter. I figured it would be because I was reading stories and not playing games. I'll be back on Sunday, though. We're not going to be playing any creepy games. I want to finish off the Violet DLC because I think I'm really close to done. So maybe on Sunday I'll do like a playing Violet until I finish the DLC, and then we can end off there, and then we can dedicate the rest of the month to horror and all fun things like that. No problem. You got to take care of your instrument. Thank you. Yeah, no, I did a number on this instrument today. I did a number on these vocals. Hi, Jen. Hello, hello. How are you, BBs? Hello. Welcome, welcome on in. I was reading Edgar Allan Poe stories tonight, and it was super fun. It was a really good time for me. But yeah, before I end off, are there any other stories that anybody else wants to hear? If not, I totally understand. I'm sure those are enough to give you the heebie-jeebies tonight, or the term, as I had learned in The Haunting of Hill House, the screaming memes. I had never heard that term before. Has anybody ever heard the term screaming memes before? That sounds like a horror-based drag queen. Screaming, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Screaming Mimi. I love spooky season. Me too. This is some of my favorite time of year. Favorite time of year and my favorite place to be. Maybe I also will try to make like
more scripted content as well. With the, like, maybe I'll upload me reading stories to my YouTube channel just as, like, separate content to put up there. In case anybody doesn't want to, like, be there for an entire stream of me reading, or if they would rather see me play games on stream or such. But yeah, you guys let me know what is best for all of you, what you guys want to see, what other sorts of non-game streams you would like to see that are kind of similar to these. Does the story have to be Poe-themed? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Just as long as it should be okay for me to read on stream, that I won't get any kind of, like, into any kind of legal trouble. My Immortal? I already read My Immortal on stream months ago, Jacob! Should I continue My Immortal? Read that. What's this? Is this a Reddit story? Ooh, okay. I never click on links in chat, but I trust you, Fluffy, so I'm going to click on this. All right. Okay, I can do this. Passages from Dracula. Ooh, that's a good idea. All right, I'll do both of those. Best passages from Dracula. Ooh, the best quotes from Dracula. The 25 best Dracula quotes. Okay, well first let's read Fluffy's story. This, this looks absolutely terrifying. You really want me to read this? I don't know. This might actually give people nightmares. Like for real. But okay. Here goes. And I'm gonna be putting on my best voices for this. The title. Humor. Someone forced a botch to watch over 1,000 hours of Batman movies and then asked it to make a movie of its own. And I'm going to be reading this in script format. Batman. Interior traditional Batcave. Batman stands next to his Batmobile and uses his Batcomputer. He's sometimes Bruce Wayne, sometimes Batman, all times orphan. Ah! Batman. This is now a safe city. I have punched a penguin into prison. Alfred. Batman's loyal battler. That's spelled wrong. Oh, wait, battler. I get it. Because he's Batman. Alfred, Batman's loyal battler, carries a tray of goth ham. Eat a dinner, Mattress Wayne. An explosion explodes! The Joker and Two-Face enter the cave. Joker is a clown, but insane. Two-Face is a man, but attorney. No! It is Two-Face and One-Face. They hate me for being a bat. Batman throws Alfred at Two-Face. Two-Face flips Alfred like a coin. Alfred lands heads up, which means Two-Face goes home. Wow, the suspense, it's killing me. Batman. It is just you and I, the Joker. Bat versus clown. Moral enemies. The Joker. I am such a freak. Society is bad. You drink water. I drink anarchy. I drink bats just like a bat would. Batman looks around for his parents, but they're still dead. This makes him have anger. He fires a bat rocket. The Joker deflects it with his sick sense of humor. A clownly power. I have never followed a rule. That is my rule. Do you follow? I don't. Alfred!
Give birth to Robin! Alfred begins the process, since it is his job. The Joker now has a present in his hand. He juggles it over to Batman. Happy birthday, Birthman. Batman opens the present, since he's a good guy. It contains a coupon for new parents, but is expired. This is a Joker joke. The end. Well, I can say goodbye to my good dreams tonight. That was truly terrifying. Truly the most terrifying tale to ever be told of all the tall tales. Brava! Brava! Thank you, thank you. I did my very best. Wow, that Batman those Batman vocals. I don't know how Ben Affleck and Robert Pattinson and all the other Batmans did it. Squilliam, is that you? Did I sound like Squilliam? I was trying to sound like the Joker. My reference for the Joker is from that one video with the little fucking animation of you know the fucking Femboy Hooters video, the creator that made those. I watched one video where Batman was a Discord mod, and I based my voice off of that Joker. I want you to give me Discord Nitro, Batman. Roaring applause. Thank you, thank you. I hope you're in my dreams tonight. Aww. I hope the Joker is in your dreams tonight. We reading Batman fanfics? We're reading scary stories today, and that was very, very scary. First we were reading Edgar Allan Poe, but I don't think a single Poe story was able to even compare to the insanity, the terror, the fright, the horror that was 1,000 hours of AI-generated Batman script. Ben Affleck, wait. Did Ben Affleck not play the Joker? I mean, not the Joker, I mean Batman. Who was the other guy that played Batman? It wasn't Ben Affleck, it was somebody else. I don't even know all the people who played Ben Affleck. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody different. When AI-generated content runs into old Newgrounds' sense of humor. I still have the remnants of the old Newgrounds' sense of humor in me in there. Not all of it, but at least just the stuff that, well, aged well. My reference for the Joker is Mark Hamill. Oh, that's probably a better reference. He's gotta be one of the best Jokers of all time. If not the best, actually. We all know the true Joker is, I'm the Joker, baby. I'm the Joker, baby. I should have read it like that. God damn it. So Pulling the Veil Away, that was written by a comedian as if it was a bot, and this was before the advent of ChatGPT. I was just like, an AI can't come up with something this funny. They would probably just try to do something super serious. That was fucking funny, and I'm like, machines are not that funny. But humans can be pretty fucking funny. I hope you, the Joker, and Squilliam are all in my dreams tonight. You know, Jen, that sounds like a damn good time. You, me, the Joker, Squilliam, and Mario Party 3. It's a dream date. Ever wonder how I got these scars? Otter Pops. Oh, God! Otter Pops do give you they do give you little scratches on the edges of your mouth, don't they? Oh my God, you're right. He mentioned... Oh, Christian Bale. I'm sorry, sometimes I have trouble telling actors apart. I used to have trouble telling apart Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. A lot of these just like white dude actors, I get them mixed up all the time. And it's like how people used to get all of the Chris's mixed up who were in the Marvel movies, like Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and I was about to say Chris Hansen, but he was in the Marvel movies. Robert Pattinson. He did play Batman. I know that for sure. Ben did the Zack Snyder Batman. Okay, so he has been Batman. I was right. Okay. All times orphan. He's an all-time orphan. He got a coupon to get his parents back, but it was expired. The Joker is so evil, but boy, does he know how to put on a good joke. I called Otter Pops mouth slicers growing up. It's like how
when you eat a Dorito, but you don't chew it thoroughly enough, and then you can feel the edges of one of the edges of the chip just slicing down your throat as you swallow it. That's why now whenever I eat Doritos, I chew them like incredibly thoroughly. Ben Affleck did play Batman though, LOL, in the Zack Snyder movies. You know what? I dropped off of superhero movies after I think the first Avengers. So yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen them. I don't really care for them. Spider-Verse is good though. I like that. And some other Spider-Man stuff. Alright, we'll end off the stream today with some of the best Dracula quotes. The 25 best Dracula quotes. I can't really do a Transylvanian accent very well, but I could try. Oh, the terrible struggle that I have had against sleep so often of late. The pain of the sleeplessness, or the pain of the fear of sleep, and with such unknown horror as it has for me. How blessed are some people whose lives have no fears, no dreads, to whom sleep is a blessing that comes nightly and brings nothing but sweet dreams. That's just a bad Russian accent, but I'm trying! Number 2. No one but a woman can help a man when he is in trouble of the heart. That's just false. Who's to say? We were reading stories about people living gaily earlier. It is a strange world, a sad world, a world full of miseries and woes and troubles. And yet when King Lao come, he make them all dance to the tune he play. Bleeding hearts, and dry bones of the churchyard, and tears that burn as they fall, all dance together to the music that he make with that smileless mouth on him. Ah, we men and women are like ropes drawn tight with strain that pull us different ways. Then tears come, and like the rain on the ropes, they brace us up until perhaps the strain become too great, and we break. But King Lao, he come like the sunshine, and he ease off the strain again, and we bear to go on with our labor, what it may be. Ooh, I like the language of these. Terrific accent, thank you. I'm trying. I need to work on them. I was in a call with my boss the other day, and he was just like, do you want to take accent lessons? And I'd like to, but maybe eventually when when things are a little less hectic for me. And he was saying that like I'm getting a lot better with like my fantasy RP voice. I just need to you know, it could use still a little more tightening, but I'm working. Cannot convince me John Seward and Quincy Morris didn't marry each other at the end of Dracula. Accent lessons, yay! Yeah, no, I would like to. I want to work on my British RP. And I also want to work on, like, a country accent, too. Because I feel like those are pretty commonly used in voice acting. And if I could just get better with my accents, then it'll just be all the more easier to, like, book more roles. So, I don't even know the entire point of the entire plot of Dracula. I haven't, Dracula synopsis. I've never read the full thing. Jonathan Harker, a newly qualified English solicitor, visits Count Dracula at his castle. Dracula is cancelled in his Carpathian mountains to help the Count purchase a house near London. Ignoring the Count's warning, Harker wanders into the castle at night and encounters 3 vampire women. Dracula rescues Harker and gives the women a small child bound inside a bag. Harker awakens in bed soon after Dracula leaves the castle, abandoning him to the women. Harker escapes and ends up delirious in a Budapest hospital, not the Grand Budapest Hotel. Dracula takes a ship called the Demeter for England with boxes of earth from his castle. The captain's log narrates the crew's disappearance until he alone remains bound to the helm to maintain course. An animal resembling a large dog is seen leaping ashore when the ship runs around at Whitby. Isn't Dracula entirely told in letters to people? It's an easy read and free for all? Ooh. Dracula PDF. Internet Archives. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's downloading an entire PDF. Wow. That's great. You know what? All education should be free like this and available to the public. That's amazing that you could just, like, anybody can read it. I mean, I'm happy that all of Poe's stories are also accessible. It's like, you just Google them, and the first result is just, like, the full story. Come on, download fully. I want to read the first passage before ending stream. Ooh, this is taking a long time to download. This is a long book. But I will read a passage. I will read a passage. Because I'm just in a reading mood. I started the Amityville Horror the other day. Dracula. Oh, this is an old copy. Chapter 1, Jonathan Harker's Journal. The 3rd of May, Bistritz. Left Munich at 8:35 p.m. on 1st May, arriving at Vienna early next morning. Should have arrived at 6:46. Oh wait, hang on. Should have arrived at 6:46, but the train was an hour late. Budapest seems a wonderful place, and from the glimpse which I got of it, the train and the little I could walk through the streets, I feared to go very far from the station, as we had arrived late and would start as near as the correct time possible. The impression I had was that we were leaving the west and entering the east, the most western of splendid bridges over the Danube. Danube? Which is here of noble width and depth, took us among the traditions of Turkish rule. We left in pretty good time, and came after nightfall to Klausenburg. Here I stopped for the night at the Hotel Royal. I had for dinner, or rather supper, a chicken done up some way with red pepper, which was very good but thirsty. I asked the waiter, and he said it was called paprika Händel, and that as it was a national dish, I should be able to get it anywhere along the Carpathians. I found my smattering of German very useful here indeed. I don't know how I should have been able to get on without it. Having some time at my disposal when in London, I had visited the British Museum and made search among the books and maps in the library regarding Transylvania. It had struck me that some foreknowledgeable of the country could hardly fail to have some importance in dealing with a nobleman of that country. I find that the district he named is in the extreme east of the country, just on the borders of the 3 states, Transylvania, Moldavia, and Bukovina, in the midst of the Carpathian Mountains, one of the wildest and least known portions of Europe. I was not able to light on any map or work giving the exact locality of the Castle Dracula, as there were no maps on this country as yet to compare with our own Ordnance Survey maps, but I found that Bistritz, the post town named by Count Dracula, is a fairly well-known place. I shall enter here some of my notes, as they may refresh my memory when I talk over my travels with Mina. Oh, this person, like, wrote in here, made all these notes. This is kind of messy, but that's alright. What a good story. Maybe I'll have to read the whole thing sometime. But with that, I think my voice is getting a little bit shot now. By the way, there's some old casual British racism. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I even had to check through some of Poe's stories to make sure everything, like, you know, kind of aged well and didn't look like, you know, bad. And also another reason why I didn't want to read fucking, what's his name? Lovecraft. I don't want to read stories by a racist. But I think Poe seemed okay. He was just, you know, a sad, starving artist, and I think that's about it. But we really can't know, because we didn't know the guy back then. Amazing Bun, 10 out of 10, would watch stream again. Oh, thank you so much! And thank you everybody who joined me today for the reading of these scary stories. This was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again. And I also can't wait to see you all on Sunday for the rest of our Violet DLC adventure. Thank you so much, Fluffy Snowfall. Thank you, Dr. Karate. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Dean Metchin. Thank you to all of my lurkers and to everybody who has followed and donated biddies and resubbed today. Your support means the absolute world to me. I hope all of you have very, very sweet, sweet dreams tonight. Yeehaw! Good night, everybody.